Hello there. My name is Asiya Sabrin. My name is 0101-324-0009. I am part of the Siddharta group, and today we'll be presenting about Richard Dawkins and his view on atheism alongside evil and the concepts as such. So, as I mentioned, we'll be going through faith, reason, and the challenge of atheism, addressing particularly Richard Dawkins' point of view. So, Richard Dawkins is a well known evolutionary biologist and one of the leading voices in modern atheism. He wrote a book called The God Delusion, and he argues that there is no scientific evidence for the existence of God and that religion is a product of human culture rather than divine truth. So, Dawkins believes that evolution and natural selection are enough to explain this life's complexity without needing a creator. And as mentioned in the PowerPoint, he views religion as something irrational and harmful. He also views that he discourages influencing children in the ways of religion because religion is not necessarily something that can be directly proven by science, in his opinion. So for Dawkins, nature isn't good or evil. There are no moral designs and it's indifferent, simply showing that it's driven by the natural process of survival or evolution.
Hello, my name is Dylan and my student number is 010132400041. So, the problem of evil, a little challenge. If God is all good, then he wants to prevent evil. If God is all powerful, then he can prevent evil. But if evil exists, therefore, such a God may not exist. There is two types of evil, moral, human, and natural nature. Dawkins, evil and suffering are natural outcomes of evolution. Reflection, faith versus reason in explaining evil. Thesis, respond with free will defense, will choose evil, soul making, suffering aid, and moral growth. And Dawkins rejects this as excuses.
My name is Claren Kathleen Lamoring. My student ID number is 0101-424-002. Saint Ausum's ontological argument is one of the most famous philosophical attempts to prove God's existence through pure reasoning rather than physical evidence. He begins by defining God as that than which nothing greater can be conceived. In other words, God is understood as the greatest possible being that the human mind can imagine. Anselm then argues that even an atheist, when thinking about the concept of God, is acknowledging this idea of the greatest conceivable being. However, if such a being existed only in the mind and not in reality, then it will be possible to imagine something even greater, one that exists both in thought and in reality. Therefore, to be truly the greatest, God must exist not just as an idea but as an actual being. This line of reasoning directly challenges the notion that belief in God is irrational or purely based on faith. For Anselm, God's existence is not a matter of empirical proof, but of logical necessity. The very definition of God leads logically to the conclusion that he must exist. This argument responds to thinkers like Richard Dawkins by shifting the discussion from scientific evidence to the realm of pure logic and philosophical reasoning. While Dawkins relies on empirical observation to reject belief in God, Anselm claims that the concept of God itself logically requires existence, making belief in God intellectually defensible through reason alone.
So, hello, my name is Mda for Ramadan and my student number is 0103240017. So, previously, Claren has explained about Saint Anselm, and now I'm gonna explain about Thomas Aquinas, the cosmological argument, or what we call the five ways. So, according to Thomas Aquinas, everything has a cause, but infinite causes are impossible. Therefore, there must be a first cause, which is God. Science explains how, but not why things exist. So Aquinas looked at the physical world and asked, where did it all start? He said that everything has a cause like dominoes falling, but there must be something that causes the first push of the domino. Because the first cause isn't caused by anything else. That first cause is God Himself. Science, which is Dawkins strongly relies on, explains how things happen like gravity, evolution, chemistry, stars, planet, etc. But Aquinas reminds us that science doesn't explain why there's something instead of nothing. Even the universe itself needs an initial cause, and that's where Aquinas places God. Secondly, Al-Ghazali, who had the Kalam argument or the cosmological Kalam argument. So according to Al-Ghazali, the universe began. So it must have a beginner. Everything that exists, everything that begins to exist has a cause. The creator caused time and the universe to exist. So basically, Al-Ghazali argued that the universe had a beginning, and anything that begin must has a cause. The universe can cause itself. So something beyond time and space must have started it. Modern thinkers like Dawkins often appeal to random quantum events or natural processes. But Al-Ghazali would ask, can nothing really cause something? Even if science reaches back to the Big Bang, it still doesn't explain why it happened. That's where Al-Ghazali points to a creature, the necessary source of everything, or what we call God.
Hello, my name is Ye Chan. My name is 010132400024. Let's explore a big debate. Is there a God? Scientists like Richard Dawkins say no. They believe only in science. They see the world through the light of reasons. But philosophy gives us logical answer for yes. There are three main arguments. First, the ontological argument. A perfect God must be real. Second, the cosmological argument. The universe needs the first cause, a beginner. Third, the teleological argument's nature is so complex. It must have a designer. So this is the clash. It's science without God versus philosophy with God. Two different lights, two different ways to see our world. One looks for proof, the other for logic.
Hello, my name is Chen Haochen, and my student number is 01013240023. Today, I'm gonna talking about Leibniz and theodicy. So Leibniz said that even though there is evil and suffering in the world, this doesn't mean God is bad or weak. He believed that God is all good and all wise. So when God created the world, he chooses the best possible world out of all the ones he could have made. In this world, evil is allowed to exist because it helps bring about a greater good, like how shadows make light more meaningful, or how challenges help people grow stronger and wiser. For Leibniz, evil is part of a larger plan that keeps balance and harmony in the universe. So in a word, evil doesn't mean disapprove God's existence. God created the best possible world, balancing good, evil, and free will. Evil contributes to a greater harmony and moral order.
Hello, my name is Thomas Angelo Chang. My name is 010132400032, and today I'm gonna be presenting about Richard Dawkins. Richard Dawkins is a well-known scientist and atheist who argues that there's no scientific evidence for the existence of God. He believes that evolution and natural processes are enough to explain life, so we don't need to rely on religion or the idea of a creator. Dawkins also points out the problem of evil. If there's an all good and all powerful God, why does so much suffering exist in this world? He thinks that many religious arguments are outdated and were made before science could explain things properly. And also, overall, Dawkins promotes skepticism, rational thinking, and basing our beliefs on evidence, scientific evidence, rather than faith.
Richard Dawkins' atheism presents a powerful challenge to traditional religious belief. By emphasizing science, evidence, and rational inquiry, he argues that there is no need for a divine being to explain the universe. He also highlights the existence of evil and suffering as key problems for belief in all good, all powerful God. From his perspective, evolution and natural processes are sufficient to explain life, making religious explanations unnecessary and unconvincing. In contrast, classical philosophical arguments offer rational defenses of God's existence. Thinkers such as Anselm, Aquinas, and proponents of the design argument provide ontological, cosmological, and theological perspective that point to a necessary purposeful being beyond the physical world. These arguments move beyond empirical evidence and appeal to logic, causality, and the inherent order of the universe as a sign of divine reality. Leibniz's theodicy further addresses the challenges posed by evil. He argues that God, being all wise and good, created the best possible world, where suffering plays a role in achieving greater harmony and moral development. Evil in this view is not evidence against God, but part of a larger divine plan. Taken together, these philosophical perspectives show that faith and reason are not necessarily opposed, but can work together to address the deepest questions about existence, purpose, and the nature of reality.